Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of No Cap Radio. I am your host, Domi Jones. To my right, I have co-host Easy. And if you hear me refer to him as Reese, that's just a little personal brotherlyhood nickname that we do. You know what I mean? And to my left, we have our guest today, Miss Iiesha. And Iiesha is here to speak with us about mental health, which is something that everyone deals with to some capacity. And Iiesha just informed me that she's a psychotherapist.
That's right.
So can you explain what a psychotherapist is to us in the audience?
Yes, so I am a licensed therapist. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. But why a psychotherapist? Because what I do involves the brain and the body. So a lot of times I'll explain to my clients when I first meet them that the work that we'll be doing is rewiring your brain and rewiring your body. Okay. So a lot of times when you think about therapy, you think about somebody sitting on the couch, you think about talking, and they go, you're doing good work, or, maybe you should work on your coping skills. Right. But no, the work that we do, the work that I do, using the tools that I use is rewiring your brain and rewiring your body. Because that's what has to happen as far as healing, right?
I'm curious already, how do you go about that?
Yes. Okay. So the two main techniques that I use is brain spotting and EMDR. Why? So a really quick generalization of why I use these two things. So if you think about, say you get upset about something, mm-hmm. right? And you mad and you call your friend over here, mm-hmm. right? And you're like, man, you won't believe what happened, right? And for about an hour and a half, you going off about what just happened. And then you go, you know what, man, I got to make dinner. I'm going to call you later. Thank you for listening. You get off the phone, boom. 5 minutes later, 5 hours later, 5 days later, somebody bring up that same topic, you going up all over again. Mm-hmm. Because simply talking about it wasn't what you need to process that information. And so with brain spotting, it's a technique. You use a wand. And the motto is where you look reflects how you feel, right? And so instead of me being in this part of your brain, right, that prefrontal lobe where you're using to talk, which is not where the trauma is, which is not where the emotions of what happened is, I'm going subcortically to another part of your brain where all the emotions and the feelings and the unprocessed things are. And so that's how brain spotting used that. Another example of brain spotting, I know it's a room full of fellas here, but let's just say you've ever been talking about something personal that happened. Maybe you at your job or something. It's not really an environment that you want to talk about something sad. And then before you know, you're like, yeah, man, things is going on. And you feel your eyes start to well up with water. If you don't want to cry, typically what you're going to do is blink, which is a reflex, look in another direction, probably breathe, and then go, yeah, man, so yeah, that's what happened, right? You changed your brain spot where you were looking. Yeah. So we use those brain spots, EMDR, bilateral stimulation. If you think about a baby, when a baby cries, what do? We rock it, right? Swing sets, when I was coming up or when I was younger, I used to see swing sets in a store that went back and forth for a baby, right? Mm-hmm. They don't do that no more. The swing sets go side to side because they've caught on that side to side, that bilateral stimulation is what our bodies need for balance. And so I use that technique to help reprocess a memory. And it's using either something you hold in your hands that buzz back and forth or a light bar that goes across the screen back and forth. You hear some people, they say, when I'm mad, I go running. Bilateral stimulation. But some people, they clean. And then they feel better after they clean, or they just got to go for a walk, or I just got to do something, right? Both sides of your body. So in doing that, again, it's another part of your brain that you're not using when you're talking about what's going on.
Okay, so actually engaging in some sort of activity is more beneficial than speaking about the issue.
Engaging in an activity that promotes bilateral stimulation, yes.
Okay.
So even, some therapists now, they do walking, like they'll walk with their clients while they're processing some information. And even right now, if you bring something up and I have you start tapping back and forth, at a certain rhythm on your arms or on your legs, or you tapping your feet back and forth, left, right, eventually you're going to feel your body start to regulate. lot of people don't know that your bodies are created to regulate themselves. We just don't know how to access that.
It's like a comfort too, it seems like.
You
feel more comfortable to open up.
Yes, and both of those techniques, both brain spotting and EMDR, what's happening is there's an oscillation, there's a swing between regulation and dysregulation. A lot of people, once you're dysregulated, you just stay there. You don't know how to get, some people, they'll grab a beer, like just doing whatever they need to do, try to do to calm their bodies, but that's not going to work out for you. But if I can get your body to swing from regulation to dysregulation, we're going to create a new pathway in your brain. In that pathway, now when you're activated, I'm dysregulated, your brain, then regulation. So it's rewiring your brain in your body.
Real scientific
all
stuff.
These terms, that's what I'm gonna say. If y'all ain't noticed by now, we're gonna learn a lot today.
Oh yes.
But I do want to ask something because, we both believe, God sends you on a path in your life, that leads you to your passion. So how did you get involved with mental health? Like, what's your story?
Mental health. So just like a lot of people that look like us, people of color, we have lots of trauma in the family, lots of generational trauma. And a lot of times when you go to the doctor, right, a medical doctor, they'll say, well, do you have any mental health in your family? And you be like, well, yeah, my dad's not diagnosed, but I know he crazy.
Yeah.
My mama been taking medication, grandma, I don't know, right? And so then they'll be like, okay, well, that explains why you have depression or anxiety, right? Like typically people like, well, yeah, running my family. But no, it's not that there's this brain disease that's being passed down. It's an environment. And it's what we're seeing, how people cope. So if everybody in my family are drinkers, guess what I'm gonna start doing to cope, right? That's what gets passed down. If my dad is really angry, I'm gonna be really angry because that's what I've seen. And so just in being in certain environments, right? You asked me where I was from. I am from the 757, right? The Hampton, Newport News area. So if you think about those environments, I'm gonna be exposed to a lot of violence, a lot of drug abuse, right? A lot of sexual abuse, whether it's in the family, outside the family, but there's a lot of that. So then what do I do with that? Because my first thought was, well, I'm just become a computer scientist so I can make some money, right? Starting off the bat. But my heart was just drawn to, no, people need to learn that there is hope. No matter what happened to you, the way that your mind works, whether you're thinking about suicide every day, and I love talking about suicide. I know it's an ugly topic for people, but a lot of people who struggle with those type of thoughts, they don't think that they can get better. They think that because I've operated like this for 50 years or 40 years, 30 years, that this is always going to be my reality. So I'm like, I want to show people another way. So that's how I got involved with this.
So how are you reconditioning someone who's thought this way for 30, 40 years to think differently now?
So I actually do have, I was working with a client, I think he was like a 54, 55-year-old male. And from the time he was about 11 years old, he had those thoughts. And even at 50 years old, everything he sees, his mind will go to, how can I hurt myself? Or how can I take myself out of here? That's just the way his mind is set up. But when you think about, again, a pathway, so the first time he ever had a thought, he looked at something and said, I can take my life in this way, right? He feeling something, he like, I can take my life in that way. So now every time he have that feeling, his mind is going to go there. So what we had to do, we use brain spotting. I mean, like every single week, brain spotting. Whatever's going on, we going to find your brain spot. If it changes, it doesn't matter. And we allow your brain and your body to process that. You don't need to tell me about your trauma. People think I need to talk about it to heal from it. No, you don't. You just need the right techniques so that you can heal from it. And so with him, even there was a big event, big trauma that happened in his marriage, and guess what? I said, where does your mind go? He said, I did think about that, but I immediately thought, well, that's ridiculous. For the first time in his life, he thought, well, that's ridiculous. And then he came up with a plan, like to not really fix the situation, but just really cope with it.
So you said something I've never heard a therapist say that you don't need to know the trauma. You don't need to know what I've been through because in the community we don't want to share, right? We don't want to just sit down and talk to somebody and tell them what they've been through. So say I was to come to you and I didn't want to share. How confident are you that you can still help me to get through what I'm going through?
So you're gonna come in and you're gonna be upset, most likely, right? Because even if the event changes throughout the week, whether your neighbor done ticked you off or your girlfriend, significant other, whoever done ticked you off, the way you respond to it is typically going to be the same. It's going to trigger the same thoughts. It's going to trigger the same type of feelings. So you sitting in front of me and you like, I don't really want to talk about what happened, but I do want to hear from it. All right, cool. You seem a little activated right now. Yeah, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how activated do you feel, with 10 being the most? About a 9. Okay, where's that in your body? It's in my chest. Okay, notice that. And I'm either going to have some bilateral stimulation going on my screen because I'm a virtual therapist. So either some bilateral stimulation going or using my brain spotting tool. And I say just notice whatever comes up for you. You don't have to talk about it externally. You can think about it internally, right? It's completely up to you. And in 45 minutes, that 9, wherever you started, is going to be a 3 or maybe even a 0. And I tell people, especially when people come in and they're talking about what happened, just spitting it out, I'm like, well, relax, let's just take a moment. Because typically when people do that too, it's they're not processing it. It just became, some people can talk about their trauma in a very matter of fact way, right? And but it's not about the details. It's really not about what happened. It's about how it made you feel. So you can talk about it A to Z. This happened, and then this happened, and then Dad did this, and then Mama did that, and then after that, I had to go live with da-da-da-da-da. Okay, but how does that make you feel? Oh man, I feel that in my chest, and I do have chest pains. Notice that in your body, because this stuff is stuck in our bodies. Why are we so sick? Heart problems, headaches, can't eat. How many of us talking about, I don't eat that much. I maybe eat like once a day, maybe like an apple or something like that. What's your mental health look like? I'm anxious all the time. Well, your stomach is your second brain, so it makes sense why you don't eat as often. And a lot of times when a person is sitting in front of me and I say, where is that in your body? Sometimes they might say their shoulders. I'm like, you've been carrying a lot emotionally. They're like, yeah, I have. So no, you don't have to give me your details. You just have to let me know what's going on in your body. And you just notice that with the little tools that's going to activate a certain part of your brain.
So are you all using the bilateral movement and the blind spotting as a substitute for medicine?
I don't prescribe medicine. Nothing against medicine. I tell all my clients, take your medication. If these folks done prescribed you medication and you feel like you want to take medication, take your medication. But this is also how I explain it. And I don't want to get in no trouble. Y'all got me.
It's No Cap Radio.
Okay, No Cap Radio. Wonderful. So, does it benefit the people prescribing this medication that you heal from what's going on in your body, or that you always need that medication to cope with what's going on in your body? How does it benefit them more? But even further than that, it's like, I heard this example, it's like your oil light coming on in your car, right? And instead of you going to get that taken care of, you say, well, I'm just going to unplug the sensor so I no longer see that my car needs oil.
That makes sense.
That's like taking medication. You didn't unplug the sensor. And there's no one regimen for any particular person or illness, right? You keep coming back. You're like, I've been good the last 3 months. And then the person will be like, oh, but I got evicted and I got, I just had a divorce and, I'm super depressed. And they go, well, let's increase your whatever. Why are we increasing? Why we just can't
deal with
Yeah. And so, I had somebody say to me, they said, all right, I met this person in like November, and they said, listen, I gotta go on a trip in December and I'm scared. I haven't driven a car in 7 months. This is an older person. She said, I haven't driven a car in 7 months. I had a situation, I'm on medication, things like that. Okay, so it's November. You got to get in a car. You got to drive in December. Why would we need to up her medication instead of actually doing in her body to where now you don't even need that? Or you don't even need, I like getting people to the point to where I don't need to count to 10 when I'm activated. Because my brain goes.
I feel like a lot of people on the medication don't like how they feel on the medication.
They don't. Or there's stigma because whoever parent took medication or drugs or whatever, and they're like, I don't really want that, but they don't know what else to do. By the time somebody seeks somebody like me out, by the time you done read my profile on Psychology Today, the only thing you want from me is relief. You done tried everything else. You done tried the bottles, you done tried the swishers, you done tried talking to your friends about it. There's no cap radio,
Yeah,
right? You done tried religion, you done tried spirituality, you done tried everything, and you're still miserable. You go to work, you either say, oh, how you doing today? Oh, I'm good. But you want good on the way there. You want good the night before. You want good the day before that.
Yeah.
So why do we have to keep, like, it's almost like a disservice to people that you got to keep coping with that.
All right.
So what would you say? Because some people don't really know. They know they go through things, but what's your view on when someone should say, hey, I need help? Or is there even a point in time where...
I say, listen to your body. If you think about any situation that you've been in, and at the end of it, if it don't go right, you like, man, I knew it. But you ain't listen to your body. And a lot of people of color, we don't listen to our bodies because we're bred a different way, right? Rent due, kids gotta eat, you ain't got time, don't cry, right? I don't know, what whoever learned, but I know boys learn don't cry, but even, little girls I told, don't nobody care about your tears. Right? And so we don't have time, or we don't even feel comfortable enough to stop and figure out what these emotions are or what's happening in my body. I still got to go to school. I still got to go to work. I still got to make rent. I still got to do all of these things. So I don't even have time for that. But then still, when things happen, you're like, man, I knew it. I knew he won't for me. I knew this person was trying to take advantage of me. I knew, it's in your body, and so I feel like that's how people know. Like, if you keep having those situations where you feel like you're losing control, you keep spazzing out on the kids, you don't know why, right? Or, you just feel, I think a lot of people suffer with, like, sadness, right? I think a lot of people, when you turn off your phone, you turn off your TV, there's nothing to do, nobody to talk to. A lot of people start to feel lonely. A lot of people, or either feel anxiety. But we do all of these things to try to push through it. So that's why people be on Twitter for hours, or binge watch Netflix for hours, or eat cupcake, whatever that vice is. And it's because they're trying to make themselves feel something different or feel better. And I feel like if that's you, go talk to somebody.
I've heard even if you think you're okay, it's still okay to talk to someone to make sure. Check your temperature,
Yeah, well, I think this blind spotting is going to replace...
Brain spotting.
Yeah, the brain spotting. I said that twice, didn't I?
Yeah, but she's talking about driving, too, so you might have got it mixed up.
Yeah, but I feel like that sort of can replace the speaking with someone, the medications. A lot of people... I have family that are on meds for mental illness, and they don't like how the meds make them feel. So every few months, they'll get off the meds. It may take 45 days to completely flush out the system, and then they're, right back in the mental hospital, or in a state where they need to be in a mental hospital after that. So I feel like this episode can really reach a lot of people to break that cycle of just meds, off the meds, hospital, and I'm just hoping that the people who actually can use, or that are on the meds or whatever, or just can use some sort of psychotherapy, actually consider brain spotting
and or EMDR.
So how accessible are these services?
It depends. So to be honest, so I have my own kind of practice. I contract with other practices and organizations. So I do take insurance, and then there's also private pay. Now I've seen a lot of people, who are EMDR certified, and nothing against them, right? These are elitist treatments. They are, which means they cost a lot for you to get trained in them, for you to be certified in them, right? Very elitist. So even every training that I go to, unless it's a BIPOC, so for people of color, like that training, I'm typically the only one, or one of three, in these type of trainings, right? Very elitist. So it's over here, even for people like me trying to access it. So then even people like me that wants to be on the other side of it, it can be expensive as well, depending on where you go. Because some people are really trying to charge you $300 a week, just to heal. I think that's preposterous, right? Nothing against them. Get your money, right? Like, you've invested in yourself. But I think there are people out there like me, and there are some other people who offer these type of services that may take your insurance, right? Or that may have lower rates for private pay. So I know of a lot of private practices that take a lot of insurances. So if you got insurance, check it out.
Yeah, so how often do you recommend someone getting the services once they start?
It depends. The person, a person can come in and they'll say, so how long do you think? And I'm like, I don't know what's going to come out. So I can start with you, or I've had people like, you know what, something happened, I had a surgery and it was very traumatizing. They opened me up and then they left me open for days, and I was so scared. I thought I was going to die, and now I have anxiety every day. So that's what I want to work on. Get to working on that, or get to talking about that. And I realized, but there was sexual abuse when you was a child that's actually contributing to your response to not trusting doctors, or not trusting men, not trusting people, not trusting, being in public. There's a lot of other stuff that might come up that might need, to be addressed as well. I've also had people that have had the one thing. They're like, hey, especially like, some of my military folks, they've come in. They said, this situation happened. I can't stop thinking about it. We EMDR that, and I don't see him no more. And that's cool. I tell my clients, I don't want to be in therapy with you for 4 years, for 2 years. I need you to heal and get on, unless it's more of like if you want a supportive thing. Like, I just need somebody to talk to. Don't nobody listen to me. All right, cool. But we're going to heal first, before we get there. So it really just depends. But I don't think... With me, you're not going to be in therapy with me for, I would say, more than a year, unless you have crises going on. So when you started, then things started happening in your relationships. And so we can't really, focus on, certain things. Mm-hmm. But, even by a year, you're still a lot better than when you started.
Yeah.
You're still living, so you're still dealing with things, new things coming up.
Yeah, so do you think just the regular therapy counseling sessions is a sort of not a disservice, but sort of an injustice to getting to the root of the trauma?
It depends on what you got going on. Like some people, they like, it's my boss, it's this, and that supportive thing is really helpful. Yeah. But then there's some people who have all of this stuff that they've been walking around with for so long, and it's so in their bodies. I remember I was working with this 19-year-old African American male, this black boy, 19 years old, and he's sitting in front of me, and I said, how you doing right now? He said, I'm cool, I'm chilling, I'm calm. I said, you're calm? He said, yeah, I'm calm. I said, well, your shoulders are very tense, and I see in your face, it looks a little tight, and just the way you're sitting, you look really guarded. He said, well, this is how I am all the time. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, so you don't know calm?
Yeah, that's the norm.
Mm-hmm. He said, I'm always that's his baseline.
Yeah.
But no, I want to get you to where calm. You know what I'm saying? So he could go to a therapist and they can talk, or whatever. And if they don't have a certain lens or certain ears, I'm like, you know what, Jamal, you're doing, that's not his name. But you know what, you're doing great. Just work on your coping skills. But what about all of that that's up in him?
Yeah, but like you said, say you're in therapy for a year, different things are happening through that year. But by using these services, you think people will now learn how to cope with new traumas that arise?
And also, so it's not even that, I've had people say, I'm trying to use the skills that you taught me. I'm like, it's nothing that you can actually do. Like, it's automatic. Because if your brain is wired, okay, every time I feel lonely, I drink. Your brain is wired that way, right? Mm-hmm. Or every time I feel lonely, I cut. Your brain is wired that way. But when we wire it to go in a different direction, when I feel lonely, it goes this way instead of that way now. What am I coping with? The brain automatically then does that if we create that pathway, right?
See, this goes into like, you're really reprogramming the subconscious mind. The things, because when you do, I feel this way, I'm going to get a drink. That's your subconscious, like off instinct.
Mm-hmm.
It's a natural reaction, so you're reprogramming that, which you don't really do in your brain. It's more like your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
There you go, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of, I'm on a spiritual journey, you know what I mean? So but that makes sense to me, because a lot of that stuff, I read books by Dr. Joe Dispenza, but a lot of those things are things that he explained, but what I took away the most was just the power of thinking positive. That changes your baseline, you know. And I think a lot of, like you say, they get alone in downtime and they automatically revert to low emotions, negative thoughts of loneliness, depression. So it's reprogramming the subconscious by, I guess you are using your mind, but it's behavioral as well, you know. So like, I guess when I say using behavioral, elevating your emotions to not just think positive thoughts with your mind, but to feel positive emotions with your body. So you're rewiring your body. See, this is the stuff that I've been kicking to you the past, you know, but I feel like that's confirmation of what you're saying, and it is an ongoing journey that you have to do. But my thing is, when people are so far beyond that level where they can just recondition themselves, you know, where they may even look hopeless to you. Where do we go from there with these people?
The only people who look hopeless to me are the people who's like, this is dumb, this is not gonna work, I don't wanna do this, bye.
You mean like suicidal?
No, I mean like, I'm not coming back to see you or anybody else. Not even suicidal, it's not hopeless. We ain't did it yet, we still got hope. You know, or if we woke up, which I've had clients that woke up, there's still hope. You know, but I just mean the people who are like, just hardened to the process. Like, you know, I had somebody, she's like, you know, I'm from New York. We don't do this type of stuff. We don't trust this type of stuff. And I'm like, well, just be open. Just try it. Let's just see. You know? And so when it comes to hopeless, like, I'm not,
You seem like you're very convicted. You know, you have conviction with you.
Yeah, and I've been on the other side of it. So to get certified in both of those things, I had to do my own work. So I know how hard it is, and I know my stuff deep too. You know, my stuff just as deep as the people sitting across from me. You know what I'm saying? And so to have gone through the process myself and feel the difference, know that it works. You know, it don't matter. Just like you know, a lady, she laughed at me. She was like, "You're not gonna get me in a car like this." Like really, I've been in therapy for 10 years. You're not gonna help me overcome this fear. Like, I'm just gonna stay in my house. In 30 days, and we were going twice a week, just going at it twice a week. In 30 days, she was like, I drove a car today. She said, I laughed at you, and I'm so sorry. I said, no, because we got you exactly where you were supposed to be. I don't mind the skepticism, just keep showing up.
So that's how you're convincing people that are hardened. You just tell them, hey, just show up and see what happens. Just open up to something new.
And the fact that they are showing up tells me that they're not as hardened as they think that they are, or as they're portraying to be. You know, a lot of times, as you might know, just coming off real hard is just a way to protect that soft spot or whatever. So even if it's like, you know, don't you think that you about to come up in here and change something about me? Ain't nobody been able to help me, right? Very hardened. Because if they put their faith in me or, you know, express it early on, and then if they think it don't work, well, then that's another disappointment. That's another thing that they're going to feel like that they did wrong or I couldn't do right. I can't tell you how many of my clients, when we're working, either doing the brain spotting or the EMDR, they're like, am I doing it right? I want to see, you know, I've had clients, you know, they log on and I just wanted to get here on time and I'm so sorry. And I'm like, be cool. It's all right. We got here. Let's just take a minute. Can we both just breathe? And then months down the line, when they're just free and they're just open, and they're like, you know, anxiety, I didn't even really feel it this week. I'd be doing backflips on the inside. I mean, it's just the passion. And just to talk a little bit more about that, you said there's some therapists that are like, oh, well, you know, just take that. It's also a cultural thing. Because there's some therapists that'll hear your story and be like, oh my gosh, you went through that? I can't believe you went through. You know what? I don't see how you're not on medications already. Let me go in and, you know, that whole thing. Because there are some therapists that cannot relate to certain cultural things that don't know the difference between empathy and pity. They don't understand your story.
Yeah. I've had a therapist shake their head at me before.
I'm
like,
and it feels
like,
right, and it feels like, I mean, I made it. I mean, I'm fine. It ain't that bad. You know, like that type of thing. And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can really help as much as what you need, but I really think because they don't have it to attune with you, to be there with you, to understand, not even understand, but to get what it is that's happening in your body. So because they're uncomfortable, take this medication. I've gotten so many referrals because therapists were uncomfortable sitting with a person's story. A lot of therapists can't sit with somebody who's, I know this sounds crazy, who's crying.
Wow.
Or has a really hard story. But for me, I can sit through it, and I've heard things that you don't even see on TV. You don't even see on HBO. And I can sit through it because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm connecting the dots to say, okay, this could be the cause of this. All right, this will be the best technique. Or this is how I can start out with the technique, because you use them all differently, even though it's two. You don't use them the same for everybody. You know, with some people, we just might need to install calm in your body first before we get into anything else, because I don't need you splitting and dissociating.
Yeah.
And now a 5-year-old is talking to me, even though you're a 40-year-old man. I got to be able to hear that.
Yeah.
And then act, you know, in that moment, and even change my voice. Are you okay right now?
Yeah. You think
Yeah,
more
it's not
logically
fair.
than emotionally. Letting our emotions pour out, and you're thinking logically.
Yes, yes. So I'm not uncomfortable because I still have that a clinical mindset in that moment. When your vocabulary starts to change, like now you're talking like a 5-year-old. Say, well, how old do you feel right now?
Yeah.
Person might say 7. Well, what happened when you were 7? My dad. What did he do? And this is a person that then came to me and they're like, yep, I got these kids and I'm married and I, you know, just got the new business and all this, you know, this how you show up.
Yeah. You rewiring their whole. Yeah.
But that 7-year-old comes out all the time. They just don't know it.
I got some referrals for you. Already lined up.
Oh, you know that. You know that. The list go on and on with that.
Man.
Yeah, people that are near and dear in heart, and I have family. We have a live audience here at No Cap today, just because of the importance of this episode, and the people is saddened. You know, like meeting you for the first time, I almost cried just meeting her off break. That's the first person I've ever felt like that, just because what the toll that mental illness has taken on my family. It was personal to me, and so is this episode, and that's why we have an audience here. That's the support that we have for each other, and it's sad to see people wanting, you know, trying to get help, not knowing what to do, how to get it, you know. So episodes, podcasts, platforms like this to share knowledge, information, and like you say, provide a way out, show people that it's hope is so important. So we definitely commend you on what you're doing. But I gotta ask you this: is there anything, not that this isn't enough, but is there anything that you do in the community to sort of help? Because people in the community need you and the things that you offer.
As of right now, I'm not actually out in the community. Depending on where I've been, who I've been employed with, and things like that, I might get into certain things. But as of right now, no, I'm not.
This is the start of it right here. You know, this is the start of it right here, and we're going to continue to build and expand upon this. And I know we're going to have a plethora of clientele coming to you just to try this out and see, just opening up to something new and see if this is can help these people save their lives.
I do want to ask, what's the main point of today for you? You know, the main objective, the biggest point you want to get across to the audience.
The biggest point that I want to get across to the audience. So, my LLC, my business is called Rebel and Heal Counseling. The biggest point that I want to get across: if what you've been doing for however many years has not worked for you, hasn't worked for your family members, do something else. Find something else to do. Because what the brain wants to do, what the body wants to do, is revert back to what it's been comfortable doing, right? But we have to rebel against those things. Whether it's messages that you receive, oh, therapy, that's just for white people. You gotta rebel against that, because then it make you not even want to, seek it out, right? Whatever those things are that has kept you in this same cell in your mind, because when you think about mental health, we are in our own cells, in our mind. And whatever has kept you there, and you think, okay, well, typically going to the gym helps. No, it don't. Maybe in the moment, maybe a little bit after, but the next day, you feel just as heavy as you did the other day. Keep doing that, but let's do something else. So that's the main thing I want to get out there to people.
That's powerful. Yeah. Do something else.
Do
something else. Wow. Well, any alibis from you, Mr. Iiesha?
No, that was amazing. I appreciate you coming to the show. I know I learned a lot.
So did I, and I think the audience will too, and gain a lot from this. And let me ask my mother: does she have anything she want to ask? And she don't put her on camera, please. She don't want to get on camera. But one question.
Well, the only question is that I want to talk to you and get help for that family member that Dion is talking about.
Okay, yes, we can absolutely talk about it.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, she gonna have a whole nother episode waiting on you outside that door.
Okay.
You know right now.
Okay, I'm open to it because I actually love having these conversations. Because especially when it comes to moms and grandmas, they are doing what the professionals told them to do. Whether it was the doctor, whether it was social services or whoever. If they say put them in a treatment, they gonna put them in a treatment. If they say put them on this medication, that's what they're gonna do because they're doing the best. By their time, they're like, well, you're the professional. You should know the best, so that's what they're gonna do. And even though they continue to go on these cycles and feel like, man, nothing is working, okay, maybe you gotta go back in that treatment facility. Maybe you gotta go back in, because I don't know. Like, typically the moms and grandmas, they stand there like...
Yeah. And we like, how many times are we gonna have to go through this same cycle? You know what I mean?
Try something different.
Well, that's what would be the name of this show right here. Try something different.
I like that.
That's it. Well, this is No Cap, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the show and learned something. And remember, try something different.
Something different.
No Cap, we out.